Many of our examples for this course have been about a website for a trip to Japan. For the remainder of the course, I've built a generic version of this. Instead of 2019 or 2022, I've set up a generalized date for the trip of 20XX. This is based on a real pre-existing site, but I've made changes, such as totally made-up names, addresses, and so forth of the travelers. It is a rich site, and we'll use it for examples as we move forward, not exclusively, but frequently. So here's our generic site. You see the year 20XX. And for this session, we're going to focus on using this site as a way to build individual pages for each traveler. For example, when someone says sign up to go, they'll see this form, which we've already worked with in previous lectures. And what's going to happen is that we're going to end up with a table of all the travelers, and when you click on the picture of one of those, you see their personal web page. Now, this personal web page is built from the information they sent from the form being inserted into a model page that we'll construct, and that's what we're going to explore in this session. Here's the process. A user sits down at their computer, brings up a browser, and gets to the sign-in page, addreservation.html. This contains a form to fill in. He or she fills in the form and submits the form to your server, passing the form data. Now the server locates the PHP CGI named addres.php on the server's hard drive and loads it into memory. The CGI gathers the form data, does any validation, creates a file name for the new traveler's personal web page, finds the model travel file on the server's hard drive and opens it for input, and opens the new personal web page for output. Then the CGI reads the model traveler file one line at a time. If a line indicates it is expecting a value from the form, the line is updated. Then the line is written out whether it was updated or not. When the whole model file has been processed, the CGI closes the files, creates a reply page for the user, sends an email to the webmaster, logs the event, and then schedules the new private page to be sent to the user to examine. Our goal here is to create a personal web page for each person as they sign up for the trip. A file with a name ending in SHTML using the information they supply on the application form. This is so the travelers can get to know each other a bit and to encourage people who haven't signed up to join the trip. As mentioned in an earlier lecture, for a file name, we'll use the applicant's first and last name run together. For example, stevecomstock.shtml or nandenton.shtml, and so on. So the first and last names are lowercase except for the first letter being capitalized. The pieces required to accomplish our goal are create a web page containing a form to gather information about an applicant and invoking a CGI, and we accomplished this in earlier lectures. Create a model file containing the basic structure of the personal web pages we want to create, and that's what we're going to discuss next. And then create a CGI to combine the form data and the model file to create the personal web page for an applicant, and we'll discuss that once we have the model file set. Now we're going to create modeltraveler.txt, our model for all personal web pages for this site. To build the model file, we need to get a general idea of what the final personal file will look like. So here's an image with all the values being fictitious. So notice we have 3 phone numbers, home, mobile, and work, an email address, and a street address, and we'll see how to structure that later. And then tripolated background, no previous visits to Japan, no language skills, and the other pieces of information we asked. And then at the bottom, the usual kind of copyright information. So that's our target. Using our general expected result, we can code the necessary HTML. We start with the traditional lines. The doc type, HTML lang equals en, head, and a title start tag. And recall the value of a title element is displayed in the tab or browser header. Here, I'd like to have the first and last name of the applicant from the application form. And here's where I introduce my personal coding convention, which works well for me. Places where we want a value from the form to appear. In the model file, we'll code *** followed by a string that identifies the content. For example, in our case here, I'll add a line, *** first space *** last. So when our CGI processes the model file, wherever it finds the string *** first in the model file, it will replace that string with the value for first name gathered by the form. And whenever it finds the string *** last, it will replace that string with the value for last name from the form. So we end up with these starting lines. Next, we have more traditional HTML lines, end of title tag, a meta, a couple of metas, and a link to a style sheet. Now here I have a style element with .picTraveler, float right, margin right 5 pixels, margin left 8 pixels, and style end head. Now I added the picTraveler class because based on our design, we want any applicant's image to hang on the right side of the screen. We'll leave that definition there until we're satisfied it works for us, then we'll move it into our style sheet. So this completes the head element. Next, we build the basic body structure as we've done before with this style of page. So we have these series of div elements, and notice I've got this paragraph class equals narrow ampersand NBSP semicolon. This generates a thin blank line, and I do this often just for vertical spacing and aesthetics. Then on the line with the include, we'll generate the trip name followed by the page name, which is members on the trip. Next, we code the lines that define the page's content container, including the left-hand column, mainly the include of box1.txt, which is our links box, and also an include of the webmaster's email address. Then we create the right-hand side of the page, the content column. Let me pause right here so I can point out that ** first and ** last appear again. And again, they will be replaced by the values from the form. And this time, they will end up being the second line of the page, the title that announces whose page this is. We continue. Here we provide a space to display any picture the applicant uploaded. Now, instead of using substitution indicator strings for width and height, I have found that hard-coding the width value works much better. When this page is loaded, the browser will use that width figure and calculate the height by keeping the height to width ratio of the image fixed as part of the process of rendering the image on the page, so it'll make it fit proportionally. If no file was uploaded, the image element will display the title text, no photo available, and the height will be just enough to hold that text using the current font. The width equals 640 value is one that works for me with this page layout. You will want to experiment when creating your own value. Notice the substitution indicator of ** pic name occurring twice. The CGI will be on the lookout for this string and replace it with the name of the image file, no matter how many times it appears. Note also the reference to the class picTraveler we defined earlier. Moving on, we now come to the contact information part of the page. So here we have information for up to 3 phone numbers. Which type of phone is this, followed by the actual phone number. Now we'll discuss how the CGI handles the situation for omitted phone numbers in the discussion of the CGI itself. Note how the email address is set up. This will generate a link that will actually bring up your email client when clicked. Pretty cool. The use of the block quote element is to ensure the content displays just as it was generated. Notice the replacement elements are indented on the lines following the P start tag, so they are indented in the resulting page. Now we come to the trip-related background section. Nothing out of the ordinary here now that we're getting used to seeing replacement indicator strings. Next is the personal information section. The extra BR elements. They're there just to create spacing on the form for aesthetic reasons. Finally, we get to the traditional end-of-page content for this style of page. And that's the model file we'll use to construct each applicant's personal web page. The last major coding piece is the CGI, to name and upload any image or picture of the applicant, to take the data from the form and insert it into the model page and then save it as the personal web page for the applicant. Before we work out the code, though, we have to discuss how to work with uploaded files, especially image files. So, handling uploaded files in PHP. Recall that for a form to upload a file, the method for the form has to be post. The enc type for the form has to be multipart /form-data, and the input control used must have type equals file. In a CGI invoked by a form, all items of type equal file are retrieved using the $_files variable. This is actually an array of all the files retrieved, and each entry itself is an array of the properties of the file. These files are stored in a temporary directory on the server. For example, suppose we have a form that has the right method and enc type and an input name with attributes including name equals person_pic, type equals file. If the user chooses to select a file, they are put into a File Explorer type dialog, where they can point to a directory and file they want to upload. For example, they may end up pointing to, say, C:\spa\scraps /pixhold /img_5888.jpg. Then, in the receiving CGI, you access that file using $pic equals $_files bracket quote person_pic quote bracket quote name quote bracket semicolon. So person_pic is the name in the sending input control, and name is the index in the $files bracket person_pic properties array. And the name property contains the original name of the file on the client. For example, img_5888.jpg, which here we save in the variable named $pic. The other attributes you can access are $_files control name size, that is the size of the file in bytes, $_files control name temp_name, that's the temporary file name of the uploaded file on the server, and $_files control name error. This is the error code for the upload process. A value of 0 indicates success, and we don't care about other values. There are a couple of other attributes, but they are considered unreliable, so we stick with just these. And the documentation for the $_files characteristics is found here. https://www.php.net/manual/en/features.file-upload.post-method.php. Now we're going to construct a file name for this picture that follows our naming convention for the personal web page. We have a file name of first name, last name, and then dot and extension. The extension identifies the type of file, SHTML for a personal web page, and for images we'll support types GIF, JPEG, JPG, PNG, and BMP. We can find the width, height, and type of image of this file. $hold equals getimagesize of $_files bracket quote person underscore pic quote bracket bracket quote TMP underscore name quote bracket parenthesis semicolon. Recall that $_files of control name and TMP underscore name returns the name of the file where it's stored in the temporary directory on the server. The getimagesize function returns true or false. If true, then it also returns an array of the file characteristics, the width and height in pixels, and an integer identifying the type of image. So we might code this. If $hold, then $width equals hold bracket 0 bracket, $height equals $hold bracket 1 bracket, and $type equals $hold bracket 2 bracket. So $width and $height hold integers. How many pixels wide and how many pixels tall is this image? And $type has an integer too, and that displays which type of image it is. So here's the possible values, and the ones that are in red are ones that we support. If the image is any other format, we just quietly ignore it. You may recall that it was optional for the applicant to submit a picture, so we actually have to frame all this to see if there was a file of any kind set up, and if there was, if it's an image of the type we support. So I'm going to use a variable, $picOK, initialized to false, and then we have to prove that they uploaded a document and that it's the right file type for us to go ahead. Also, I'll define a variable, $picFileType, to hold the file name extension corresponding to the image type we find. So here's the code around that. We start asking if $pic is not equal to quote quote. That is, it's not empty, because if it's empty, there's no file uploaded at all. Then we put the result of an invocation of getimagesize into $hold, and then we ask if $hold is true. In other words, if the getimagesize was successful. If it was, we say $picOK is true, and we set $type to $hold bracket 2. We just grab the type. We don't care about the height and width. Then we ask about $type. If $type is 1, set $picFileType to GIF. If $type is 2, set $picFileType to JPG. If $type is 3, set $picFileType to PNG. If $type is 6, set $picFileType to BMP. And then we see if $picFileType is still empty. If so, none of those types matched. So we say $picOK is false. Now, if there's a supported image file to upload, we first check if there's already a file by that name. If so, we send an email to the webmaster and exit the CGI, telling the user what the problem is. If $picOK, then we create the file name for the user pic, which is $filename.picFileType. Now, if file exists of /traveler/user_pic, then the mail function, and we assume here that the $mail_to and $subject were filled in earlier, and we'll show that later when we look at the whole picture. And then the text of the email will be picture already exists, $userpic, so we have the name of the user picture, and then email and phone number of the contact. And then finally, $headers, again, that's already preset, and we'll talk about that when we look at the whole program. Then we exit the CGI with the message, $userpic already exists, file creation stopped. New line, use your browser's back button to retry. Notice the use of the file exists function. It returns true or false, as you might expect. Now, else, that is, the file with that name doesn't exist, then if move uploaded file, parenthesis, $_files, person_pic, TMP_name, comma, quote / travelers / $user pick. Echo the image file has been uploaded, else echo there was an error uploading the picture file. So we have now moved any uploaded picture file to our chosen directory on the server under our preferred file name using the move uploaded file function. We can also access all the variables from the form data, and we know where to find the model file. A little side note, move uploaded file takes two arguments, the from file identifier and the to file location, and it returns true if successful, otherwise false. Sometime later in the code, we'll also check to see if there's already a personal file with the applicant's name. So now if file exists of / $user file, again, the mail function, $mail to and $subject have already been set. The text of the email is person record already exists, and then the name of the user file, the person record, and again the email and phone of the contact, and then the $headers. Again, we exit the CGI with the message user $first, $last, page already exists, file creation stopped. New line, use your browser's back button to retry. Now, how to handle duplicate file names is a discussion for a later time. Here, we just inform the user and suggest a retry. To put this all together, we need to be able to read the model file a line at a time, update lines using variables from the form, as indicated, and write out the new personal page to the server a line at a time. So these are the parts that will make up our CGI: creating file names using our naming conventions, uploading any requested file if it's of a supported type, checking for duplicate file names, using the I/O functions to read our model file and write a new personal page file, checking each input line for a replacement indicator string and replacing such strings with corresponding values from the form, and using the while loop construct to manage the process. And we can add in some code to log each user's making an application, and some code to set default values if nothing was specified in the form, and we end up with this code for addres.php. We begin, of course, with a PHP start tag, then some comments that describe the function of the CGI and general logic. Then we come down and look at the variables that we access from the post, so setting all the variables from the form into our PHP variables. Then variables that we'll be using in the work, $pick OK and $pick file type for managing any uploaded images, and $adder back for working with a street address, and $chars for deleting characters we don't want in name fields. And then for logging, we set up $today for a date and $now for a timestamp, and initialize the $log message to be blank. Now the log name will be year-month-log.txt, and the log file will be /logs/$log name. And just a reminder, you need to define the logs directory before you actually run this. And then some variables for emails, so the mail to and the subject and the $headers, and then $message is initialized to blank. $pronoun is initialized to he. That's because the default in the form is male, but later in the code, if the user has selected female, we'll change the pronoun to she. Now we work on the file name, so we get rid of the characters we didn't want, and we set all of them to lowercase and then uppercase the first character. We do that with the first name and the last name, and then we have $file name, which is sort of our core, which is the reconstructed first and last names strung together. Now here's our image processing we talked about not too long ago. If pic not equal to quote quote, so there is some picture mentioned, uploaded in the form. So now we get the attributes, the get image size, and if it's successful, then we set $pick OK to true. Otherwise, we look at $type and compare it with 1, 2, 3, and 6. Those are our supported types. And for each one, we assign a value to $pick file type based on the type number. Then we ask if $pick file type is empty, that is, none of the type compares, set that value. Then $pick OK is false because none of the values are one of our supported ones. Now we say, okay, if $pick OK, then we build the name for the user picture file with the $first, $last, $pick file type. And now, if file exists of /travelers/$userpick, we want to make sure we don't delete or overlay an existing file. So if the file does exist, we send an email and then we exit the CGI. Otherwise, in other words, the file doesn't exist, we move the uploaded file to the travelers directory using the name that we constructed, the $userpick name. And we put this in an if statement. So if the move is successful, we're going to echo the image file has been uploaded. Otherwise, we'll echo there was an error uploading the picture file. Now, we can move ahead. We set up for the personal web page. We construct the name and check for a duplicate file. So $user file is the $file name we had before, .shtml. And our log message is going to be $today at $now, sign up by $first, $last, email equals $email, and a new line. And now we check to see if the file already exists, and if so, we send out an email and tell the user that we've stopped and use the back button to want to retry. Next, we set values that were not supplied in the form. First of all, actually, we see if they said gender female, and if so, we change the pronoun. But on the others, if they did not specify a value, then we specify a value for them. So for visits, it's none. For hope, it's no reply. For ties to Japan, it's none. For work-related information, nothing shared. For family information, nothing shared. For interest, nothing shared. Then we format the street address from the pieces, and we looked at that in an earlier video, so I'm not going to go through that. Now here's where we actually start processing the files. We open our model traveler.txt for read and our output ./$user file for write. And then, while not file end of file of $in file, in other words, as long as there are records to process, do all this. So the first thing we do is get the next record, the fgetS function, and then we replace any occurrence of ** first with $first. That is the value from the form. And similarly for ** last, we replace with $last, which we got from the form. Now here in the image element, we replace ** pick name with the name for the user image that we created earlier. If there is no image, the replacement will still occur, but it just won't display on the final page. Next, we replace ** ph1 with the phone number that was supplied, and ** t1 with the type of phone that was supplied. Recall the user must specify at least one phone, and it must be the first one. Now, on this next piece, we take a look if we are at a line that contains the string phone2. Now, if $phone2 is empty, that is, the user didn't supply a second phone number, so we do 3 fgetS's in a row. Basically, that reads the next 3 lines from the model text file without writing anything out. And that's because those 3 lines have a paragraph start tag and then the phone information in a paragraph end tag. So we just skip those. We omit them from the output. On the other hand, if $phone2 is not empty, then there is a string replace being done for both the phone number and the phone type. Then similar logic for the third phone number in case they supplied it. And then we go on to display the email address and the street address as we constructed it, and then we replace the other variables, what they expect to get from the visit, what are their language skills, and so on. We've done all that, we fall through, we've done all the updates for any given line, the current line, and we fwrite the $out file from $work. Then that brace is the end of the dual while loop, so we go back up and get the next record and repeat this as long as there are records. When we fall through, after this brace, then we close our files. And a little extra work here, if $ext2 equals yes, then $pronoun is planning additional travels. Remember, $pronoun is either he or she, uppercase first letter. If $x2 is not equal to yes, then we say $pronoun is not planning additional travels. Similarly, if $ref is not empty, then $ext3 is how .lc first of $pronoun heard about the trip. $ref, that is how it was referred to them. And $pronoun, you may recall, is either he or she with an uppercase first letter, so this lowercase is that first letter, so it makes sense grammatically in an English sentence. Then we have our message that we're going to send out. Contact $first, $last at email equals phone equals new line. View the new page at, and then there's the name of the file that we're going to have. And that is going to be sent to the webmaster. Now we actually build our reply page for the user. So we have our doc type, our HTML, our head start tag, title, sign up results. Now here's a meta, which is how we schedule for the file to be seen or displayed to the user. So we have that HTTP equiv refresh, content equals 10, so in 10 seconds, although it may take longer. And then what should we refresh it with? And there's the URL, which points to the user's personal web page we just built. And then in the body we have a paragraph. Your personal web page has been created, new line. Please wait until your new personal page displays. It may take a few minutes. That's just sort of a caveat. It may take less than that, of course. And the end body and the end HTML. Now our finish up, we're going to send the email to the webmaster, so we mail, and mail to, and subject we already built, and $message is that message we had about there's a new person signed up and here's their phone and email. And then we log the process, so we've seen this several times, and then we're done. So we have the three pieces we need. An SHTML page with a form to fill out to sign up for the trip, add reservation.shtml, a PHP CGI for examining the form data and building a web page for the person signing up, add res.php, and a model or starter text file to use in building that web page, modeltraveler.txt. And the above pieces work together just fine. We still have some work to do. Some manual adjustments or tweaking of our pages and images, and construction of the page of all travelers. But we've already gone on long enough. We'll address the above topics in the next video session. In this session, we looked at building a personal web page using information submitted from a form, setting up a form and a page on our website, creating a model personal web page, creating a PHP CGI to apply form data to the model web page to build the personal web page. Also handling image files, checking file type, and then moving an uploaded file from a temp directory to a permanent directory, assigning a new name. In the next session, we wrap up some loose ends, some manual processes. Well, we need to set up our travelers page before any travelers have signed up. And then when we get a new applicant, we need to add an entry for them in the Our Travelers page. And we may need to manually adjust text entries. See you there.